Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday, the 19th of January. So, starting off looking, actually, I'm going to start off looking at Euros ever. Before I look at the Euro, just to confirm that there is no significant news due to be released today from a fundamental point of view, so we just left the political data, etc. So, nothing economically being reported. So, let's get on, have a look at what's going on. Firstly, then, looking at the euro dollar. Euro dollar yesterday, I did wonder if it would end up as looking like a bounce, and well, it actually ran through the daily 50 slightly here, but it then managed to recover late afternoon, and well, we're seeing a push up at the moment. How far for? Well, we'll see. I was looking at the equivalents of this on the dollar index. Dollar index came short of its 50 MA here, so it does make me wonder, and it did make me wonder if we'd see a bit more downside on the euro at that basis, but this isn't to say the overall move here is completely over, just because we're seeing one bar and a follow through at the moment. We have the weekly pivot sitting above us here, so chances are we might see a push up to this sort of level today. Obviously fit quite well if we did. Thereafter, well, I will watch that area. So this is taken down to a 60-minute time frame. We would be pushing right into a daily R2 if we get there. It may even be a big ask to get there at this stage, but we'll see. We'll see if it gets into that area. I will be watching it quite carefully to see if we get any reversal signal. Reversal signal from that, I would be shorting into that area, because at the moment the euro is predominantly in the downward trend there in the near term, intermediate term. So that's what I'm looking for this morning. So if it can just push up, I'd like to just see it push up quite quickly into that area and see what sort of reaction we get. That's the euro dollar. The pound moved a lot quicker than the dollar yesterday. Again, just running through its, in this case, the daily 21. But it picked up about midday, let's say a bit earlier. Well, actually 9 o'clock actually it picked up. But as you see, it pushing up, it's through its monthly, back above its monthly pivot again. It always did sit a little stronger. It's above its, it was already into its weekly pivot there, so it's pushing through that weekly pivot, and at this stage it's looking like, well, it may have some more upside. Same sort of price action in terms of the current candle, etc. Say at the moment it looks like it may have some more upside. Again, I'm watching this carefully. It does have an untouched daily pivot below, which could be a draw if it starts reversing, but at this stage looking more on the bullish side for now, and it has, as I said, out of the two, it's been more bullish. Dollar yen, we saw the dollar pushing through against the yen late last night through the Asian session there, and it's pushed up quite strongly here. Bit of divergence sitting where it is at the moment. Be interesting to see if it can strengthen. This just all looks at the moment like it is risk back on as opposed to anything else through these markets, and as a consequence we've seen the currencies that were doing quite well yesterday being sold at this stage. Of course it could all change as we move back into the London session. Looking at the Aussie dollar, another currency that got sold off. Commodity currencies got hit yesterday. Bit more like the pound in terms of its price action, only a couple of down days. It wasn't quite a solid sell-off, and again it's just sort of managed to close above its 21, making it look like a nice bounce yesterday on the dailies there. At the moment we're pushing up. Still has a monthly pivot below to see here, and it's just about to run into its weekly pivot, so watching this quite carefully. Again, if we see something breaking down here, I'll have a look at this, but at the moment as I say, it looks like risk is back on, and the commodity currencies are certainly picking up here. Looking down the short time frame there, it's above untouched daily pivot there as well. Bit of divergence on this time frame, so as I said, I will watch any reaction into that weekly pivot just above there, and quite easy this one, because it's a simple, if my drawing tool will work, it will work. Marvelous. There we go. So if that starts breaking down, maybe even the 50, the 21 beyond that, well, the daily pivot comes in at least a part target, if not further down towards these lows. But I'd like to see this all working together. So if we see this breaking down, I want to see the pound, the euro breaking back south as well. Okay, that's the Aussie, Canadian dollar. Again, a reversal yesterday into that trend line that I had drawn on there. Shooting star looking like it's got further downside potential here. It's holding up reasonably well. Just to remind you, we've got the Bank of Canada meeting tomorrow to discuss interest rates. There's about a 7% chance of a further cut, and they have been hawkish. Now, because there's that 7% chance of a cut, there are some thinking, well, anything that any cuts to come through would obviously give a mega surprise, but it will be a mega surprise because it's very unlikely. So I wouldn't build any hopes on that. Just looking at it at the moment, no, it's just sitting into its 4-hourly 21 there, 50 area. Maybe if we see a break of these levels, a continuation, that'd be good. I'm sort of looking at this, and I also see the daily pivot above. One thing to bear in mind of all of this is it's all pre 8 o'clock. Often post 8 o'clock we get these markets move around, both the pound, the euro. Most of these markets have seen a decent move up until now. We'll just see how things change post 8 o'clock. So as much as this at the moment looks like, well, a break of that 200 looks like we'll get further downside. Just be wary. It could all, as I say, turn very quickly and push upwards. That's the Canadian dollar, New Zealand dollar. John, yes, the Aussie New Zealand dollar continues to the upside. I'll have a look for you. The New Zealand dollar here, just briefly looking at this, softer than the others in terms of its push up here, and that may be helping the case for the Aussie New Zealand dollar itself. You just see how it's just much more consolidated here, but well, some of them have consolidated, but it still has pushed up there. It may have some more legs, just come out a little bit here. It's got, well, I don't need to really. There's the weekly pivot still above there, so if that starts getting some legs on it, it may take a couple of days to get there. But it's got the weekly pivot up above as well, so that's okay. I'll have a look at that Aussie New Zealand. Now this is one up until several weeks ago I was only looking on the bearish side of it, but I can already see it's continuing in its move. I was looking for any retrace. I've got a little alarm here. I want to be buying into a retrace, but at the moment it's looks like it's going to continue without me on this week. It certainly looks like it's got more legs in this at this stage. And looking at the sentiment of traders, was looking at that on yesterday, Monday, and the sentiment, it's just softened a little bit, the sentiment on the New Zealand dollar. So the Aussie dollar looks okay, New Zealand dollar just softening off a little bit there, and it really reflects what we're seeing in this market here. So further upside potential for sure. Where to? Is the next question. Well, we have got some prior highs there around that 10951 area, maybe even more. But this area, that if you look at it on a bigger time frame, you'll see that it often runs. It's quite range bound on the bigger time frames, on the monthly time frame. So there we are. That's the Aussie New Zealand dollar. So still looking bullish on that. Okay, let's quickly look. Sorry, that's a request there almost. So that's where we are on that. S&Ps then. Well, seeing a recovery, the risk recovery, I'd suggest here. Quite a big bounce coming through yesterday afternoon and running into this morning at the moment. Not quite a divergence at the moment. Again, if we could be drawing trend lines across the lows here, and well, if it gives a lower higher break of this point here around about 37.82, maybe we'll see a correction back towards its weekly pivot. Its daily pivot looks a bit of a distance away, but we'll see. Certainly in range on that. But for now, as I said before, I can't get bearish on the S&Ps really at the moment. I just think it's got all positive upside. So any retracement, if you get the timing right, and just using trend lines would be fine on this market. Just draw trend lines across there yesterday, may have caught some of that, but it's literally continuing to push to the upside. So why fight against it? There you go. Gold, talking of fighting, this looks poor yesterday, and well, it doesn't look great today. Actually, it looks worse. When I was looking at it yesterday, it was pulling back here. It's just come back out to dailies here. Daily wise, well, there's no real divergence here. The RSI's it actually pops lower on that low move there as well, as we identified yesterday. It's consolidating around it where it is at the moment. As I said, there was that wedge. It's worked off probably most of that, if not all. It's just consolidating where it is. I'm not massively bullish as it sits here, but it with the risk patterns changing, maybe it will and the dollar softening a little bit, we could see it gain from that, but I'm not massively bullish on it as it sits there. And finally, I say finally, oil, nearly finally. Oil's been sitting there. I mean, it came off yesterday, just dojed. Bit of a riser on the risk price. Oil tends to rise as in price as the dollar weakens, and we've seen a bit of a reflection of this. It's a bit like gold in that respect. It's looking okay at the moment from where it's going. It's back into its weekly pivot. It's air kissed its daily pivot. Maybe it's got some further upside here this morning through the markets. As I've said many a times, I tend to, when I'm trading oil, I'm looking at post 2 o'clock to be trading the Western Texas. There was a very light market yesterday with very low volumes with Martin Luther King Day. Really quite reflected in this choppiness we saw there. No trades for me on it anyway. But as I say, I tend to steer clear of the early morning moves on this market. I prefer to watch it later on, but for now, yes, it's got high lows coming through there, and it is of course still a bullish market. I am just about to read an article by ING Bank, ing.com, on their thoughts on whether oil will continue to rise, because they brought up exactly the same points as I have in the past here about okay, Saudis cut their production, but there's a lot of countries in lockdown, and those stocks will be starting to rise again. So in the short term, I wouldn't be surprised in the mid-term if we get some sort of lull in this price and a bit more of a rollover. In fact, it's shaping up on this 4-hourly. If it breaks the trend there, maybe it will come back a bit more. Okay, that's it for me from there. A quick look at Bitcoin. I was looking at an hourly chart of it for some reason earlier on. It's probably because it was set as an hourly chart, but this 4-hourly chart shows what I was really looking at. It's still managing a higher lows through this. It's still pitching up at the moment. Obviously, got a lot of traders wouldn't have wanted this retracement here, but it's all a classic Gartley, this first part of this move. It hasn't seen it all the way through. It's a classic old pattern, but as I said, while I'm looking at it on a 4-hourly on something that's really an end of day long-term trade, it still looks fine. Okay, that's it for me. I wish you a great day. John, well done on your swing. I'll catch you all in the morning. Take care. Please do like this if you like these videos live, and remember to subscribe to our channel to get notifications. That's it for me. Take care. Bye for now.